because people were playing Mage to try to beat Miracle, but they were finding out that Miracle was able to beat Mage on a pretty consistent basis.
Yep.
So it might actually let people play Mage in tournaments again.
Yeah, the original, originally Mage came back when Miracle was strong, and it was beating Miracle for a couple days, and then the Miracle players adapted and learned when exactly to burst and apply pressure. And then, as it turns out, Lothab also gives us a lot of pressure against them. It goes both ways. So yeah, didn't quite turn out as planned, but yeah, this could definitely see it. Somebody else said it. It is like a early game deadly shot, but again, it's quite a bit of damage, so it's should be able to kill everything that's on the board. Ping off, like, if your opponent plays
Animal Companion.
Yeah, that's a card.
Pretty good example.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'm pretty happy that this card's around. Gives Mage is really good removal spell early. Yeah, not much.
Tempo Mage might even be a good deck because you can play Sorcerer's Apprentice and then play this for 1 on turn 3.
Yeah, that's true. It's a pretty big swing turn. Clear their board and then get a decent sized minion on your board that generally has to be answered. Alright. The mini water lily. Snow Checker.
He's adorable.
He is. So he's a 2/3. Again, we've seen this time and time again. Mech 2/3 for 2. Really, really well costed. Fair. It has an ability, and it's a really good ability. If Water Lily's taught us anything, it's at freezing opponents on time, like Warrior, Rogue are probably the 2 best examples that generally have like 3 damage weapons early. But Paladin will also have cog hammers early, and if you're able to just lock down their hero power and then use your other removal spells on their minions, this guy could get anywhere from like 2 to 6 damage pretty easily, and be really, really annoying. Like Water Lily.
Go with Ice Lance.
Yep, it's another enabler of Ice Lance, and other freeze cards that I imagine we haven't seen.
Yeah.
We may get another freeze, probably not damage card. Well, then I don't actually know what you would want to enable, but we'll see. There could be other things that you may want something frozen for. But yeah, he's just really strong. He's got 3 toughness, which is important. He clears up most early minions. He can directly trade if you need to, and then, like I said, you can use the card that we just looked at, as well as Frostbolts and stuff, to make sure that he lives on the board and then lock down the opponent. So this guy's, I think you'll see a lot of play. Yeah, he's definitely a nice addition for Mage. Goblin Blast Mage. So this guy is the reverse Yeti. He does have 9 stats for 4 mana, so that is inherently really, really good. Again, Yeti's a little bit better just because 1 toughness is worth a little bit more than 1 attack, but nonetheless, you still get a lot of stats for 4 mana and a really good effect. His effect's the wording is something to note. It is 4 damage randomly split, and it is on all characters. All characters means the player and the minions. So you're not just hitting minions, and you could potentially get really bad rolls with it. We don't know what mechs, other than the 2-cost one, we don't know what 3-cost mech you may want to run in Mage. But that being said, most early minions only have a couple defense, and you have ideally probably the turn 2 and turn 3 mechs to potentially clean up any missed damage or misguided damage or anything like that. Yeah, I think he's really strong.
Yep, even 4 to the face is a pretty good effect.
He'll be pretty annoying. I feel like you'll see, again, what Freshka said, Tempo Mage is probably going to be a thing, and this guy will probably have a big part to deal with it. So, it's just a lot of effects and stats for 4 mana.
Yeah.
Pretty ridiculous in terms of mana cost efficiency.
The ability to kill their 3-drop on your turn 4 is pretty insane.
The Young Unstable Portal. Add a random minion to your hand. It costs 3 less.
I have no idea what to think about this card.
My only question, and I haven't seen if this is confirmed or not, maybe you know, is if it's able to get totems, like totem minions.
I have no idea.
That are in the game.
I saw so many posts about it, and people were like 50-50, like right down the middle. It's any minion. It's only mage minions. It's only basic mage units. Like, nobody has any idea.
Yeah. The saving grace of this card is it does cost 2 and reduces it by 3. So you are potentially netting a mana. That being said, it is potentially any minion in the game, and a lot of like the majority of your minions are on the lower end of the curve, so you're probably going to hit like 1 and 2. If I would actually like to see the math on the exact breakdowns of the population of each, or all the minions at each curve. But I imagine it's weighted really, really low. And then you're going to pull a minion which you probably don't have synergy with. That being said, if you unstable portal and then hit like any 6-cost legendary, and then you slam that on turn 3, some people are going to be real sad.
People are saying, Ben, confirmed it's only class cards.
It's only class?
Yeah.
You can get class cards. So not neutral cards?
Right.
Okay.
So like Water Elemental, Antonitis. Those would be sweet.
I'd like to see the breakdown of everything to actually make a pretty fair assessment. But ultimately, I feel like this card's just going to be a highlight reel, where you're going to again see YouTube clips and stuff from it. But
people grabbing Antonitis and then doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, but for the most part, you're not going to see it in high-level constructed decks. I said that about Farsight, and we're both now running that card, so anything's possible.
We're both running Farsight, and I run Kidnappers, so...
And before somebody's like, who are these guys? They have no idea what they're talking about. Farsight's clearly bad. I'm done with this. Too funny. But yeah, anything's possible, I guess is the point. But yeah. I don't think it'll see play initially. Goblin Auto Barber. Battle cry, give your weapon +1 attack. Again, a 5 statted mech for 2 mana. Initially pretty strong. My only hesitation is he's off curve. I wish he was a 3-drop and he was like a 4/3 or something. You don't really want to coin hero power and then play Goblin Auto Barber.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's where you want to be in the game.
Yeah, I mean, on turn 4, I guess it's pretty good. But
yeah. You can refresh your dagger and play him. But
right.
Yeah, I think he's good. He's definitely got a good effect. He's definitely well costed in terms of his cost, but I do think that he's off curve, which is something that bothers me slightly. I'd rather him have been a 3-drop or something. But yeah, I suppose you just push it a full turn later, and then you make him your 4-drop or 5 with a deadly or something. But
right.
Yeah, he is adorable. He is good. We'll just have to see more minions.
Being able to Blade Flare for 4 is really important.
Yep.
That's why people were playing Thalanos originally, and this is a 3/2.
And same with Perdition's Blade too. Perdition saw a lot of, or not a lot, but Fringe played just because it hits up an extra damage value, which is important.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah, he's good. We'll just have to see more cards. I feel like he'll make like a tempo. You're not gonna. Well, maybe you'll play him in like Miracle. Played crazier things in Miracle. But he could definitely fit more of a tempo-y rogue deck. Just from the effect enabling your weapon to kill 2 HP minions, and then he's a mech, so one of the next couple cards that we're going to see helps buff him if you run them both. I can't click links right now. Alright, so next card is Iron Sensei, so the card that somewhat synergizes with that little dude. The issue with this guy is that he is, again, off curve if you're not coin hero powering a dagger into play into that dude on turn 2, into this dude on turn 3. Iron Sensei is actually going to synergize more with the neutral card. I wish I showed this at the beginning, because it is A lot of these cards are based off of that, I think, but it's the mech that reduces the cost of all of your mechs, because this guy will be one cheaper, which could matter. You may just want to play the barber as just a vanilla creature, but more importantly, this guy comes into play. You get the guaranteed effect of giving your other mech the +2/+2. So essentially you're getting 4/4 stats for 3, and then you're buffing the reduced mana cost mech up to make sure that he's more likely to survive the following turn.
Yeah, I definitely would have rather had his ability be a battle cry, though. I think that would have been a lot cooler. It would have let you get the damage in early, and then even have the ability to like bounce it and replay it. You know?
Yeah, that's true. You get pros and cons.
Yeah, especially with like the spare parts and stuff.
If it was a battle cry, you'd get the essentially 2 charging damage off of it, like the warrior one that we looked at earlier, which was important in terms of its value. This is end of turn, so you're guaranteed. It's not at like the beginning of your turn, which is better, but yeah, that's true. You don't get the immediate value of the 2/2 on that turn. You will get the buff, but you're not going to be able to make use of it that turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still pretty good. Cool though. I would definitely test him, but
if you played the 2-cost mana dude into this guy for 2 mana, you could definitely conceal your board afterwards, making sure that he stays and that guy stays, and then on turn 4 you windmill slam Master Disguise, forever Iron Sensei. Freagasm.
I'm not sure if that's quite the deck.
It will be a thing. All right. Next card. I am a little bit more excited than I think most people are for this. This card is one of my favorite cards to come out of the set, just because he's insane. He's a 6/6 for 5, so he's got a lot of stats, and you do get, it's like Stranglethorn Tiger, you are going to get a guaranteed use out of it, so it essentially has kind of a form of charge, but not really, because you do have to wait a turn. But you're going to guarantee get at least one swing with this guy. And just the same as the Shaman card that we talked about earlier, he has the bonus effects of being able to skip past Taunt and hit valuable minions, or to hit concealed minions. So the wrong enemy may not actually be the wrong enemy, or just, to swing past the... Yeah. I think I mentioned the Taunt, but I don't think I mentioned both halves. Sometimes you just want to squeak past the damage to your opponent's face, or sometimes you want to squeak past the Taunt to hit a priority target, which this guy's definitely capable of doing. And even if he doesn't do the wrong attack, he's definitely killing that Taunt. That Taunt's dead. And then he's not like a 7-power minion, so he's not getting BGH. He's like... he's got just enough stats to make him really, really scary.
Definitely risk reward, but it depends how the meta pans out too, though. Because if there's more minions on the board, he becomes worse and worse.
Agreed. But Rogue has a generally easy time clearing up minions.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, again, I think a lot of these cards keep hinting at, thankfully, hopefully bringing back Tempo Rogue. If that happens, I will definitely be pretty happy with the meta in any capacity. If Tempo Rogue, a generally fair deck, is able to play with other fair decks and compete, that hopefully means that the meta is healthy, and that there's no cheesy decks, because that's when Miracle Rogue stops being played, or not Miracle, it's when Tempo Rogue stops being played, is when people do really, really cheesy, unfair things compared to the fair deck. Because if other people are doing unfair things, you just can no longer play fair, or else you're just going to lose games. Nobody likes losing.
Yep.
Sabotage. Another debated card. I'm definitely apprehensive about this card, but it could definitely see play. If Miracle stays around, it's definitely a card that is good in the mirror match, so that you can kill their Auctioneer and their weapon, if they have it like daggered or anything like that, seems pretty strong. The 4-drop slot in Miracle is not taken at the moment, so you do get an effect that just straight up kills minions, which Miracle doesn't currently run unless you count Sap. We're usually chewing through them with multiple spells, whereas this just is a raw kill spell. With 2 effects, which makes it a little bit more appealing than Assassinate, as well as it's on a different turn than Assassinate, since it's not competing with all your other 5-drops. And because of the second effect, the argument against Assassinate is generally that you're paying 5 mana to kill a minion, but you're not developing your board. But this potentially hits 2 things, and it has the ability to hit concealed minions, and then it does cost 1 less, which is something to note.
Yep. You can prep it to make it cost 1, so it's not terrible.
Yep. It's definitely a fringe card. It's not an auto-include in Miracle by any means, but it's something to consider. The other really good thing about this for you arena players is Rogue has really, really bad epics that you never want to draft, and Sabotage is at least an Assassinate, and Assassinate does see a lot of play in arena, so this is good for you guys, or you arena players, I imagine. But we'll see. Again, apprehensive, but it's not something I would scoff at, and I wouldn't make the direct comparison to Deadly Shot or anything like that. That's not fair. It's a different class. It's a different mana slot. Arguably a worse mana slot, but for Rogue, again, 4 is an open slot. Or for current Miracle, that is. And then the synergy with Prep, which Hunters don't have. Up next is the neutral cards. Cogmaster is the first one. So these are ordered in terms of their rarity and mana cost. So we're going to go over all the uncommon cards from 1 to 9 or whatever, and then rares, epics, legendaries. So Cogmaster, it's a 1/2 for 1, so passes the vanilla test for sure, and he turns into a 3/2 as long as you have a mech. So every class that we've seen so far, and I imagine the last couple that we haven't seen, will get 2-cost mechs that are 2/3s, 3/2s that follow up with this guy, as well as the mech that makes all your other mechs cost less, that will get Windmill Slammed on turn 2. So this guy will usually see the buff. The only unfortunate thing is this guy is not a mech himself. That might be overpowered. He's already pretty strong, but that's like the only drawback I can see to this guy, and the obvious need for a mech on the board. They can obviously kill the mech and then this guy, because by reducing his power or something, but for the most part I think that he's strong enough that he could see play and do his job. You're the aggro player though. What do you think?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
That's rude. But, yeah, it could see play. 3/2s for 1 are pretty good, I hear. People like Flame Imp.
Doesn't even shoot you.
Yeah, it doesn't even hurt you.
What a nice guy. Yeah. Flame Imp's definitely seen a lot of play. Like I said, there's a lot of mechs that will get played, so he should often get the buff. The only thing is, unlike Flame Imp, you kill the mech first and then him, and then they get potentially a decent trade back. That's the only thing that I can think of that's really a drawback to him, though.
Right.
But he is good enough that people will experiment with him and mech archetypes to try to make him good.
Yep.
Alright, the next dude is Clockwork Gnome. This guy is again, or not again, the other guy was the 1/2. This one's a 2/1 for a 1. So he does pass the vanilla test, essentially. He is a mech, gives him extra value. And he does draw you, again, we earlier rated spare parts at half a card. So he does draw you half a card, which is good. He does get buffed by other cards. He does have synergy with the previous card.
He also buffs Undertaker.
He does buff Undertaker. Joy, oh joy.
More 1-drops that buff Undertaker. Yes, please.
Because the 4/5 Undertaker wasn't good enough. Let's make him a 5/6.
Yay, timer going.
Yay. But yeah, This guy's
I
good.
think this guy's really good.
He's yeah, he's 2/1 loot order, draw half a card, draw a card, same thing. Has the mech, so a lot of synergy, and yep, buffs everybody's favorite card, Kriegasm. Annoyatron, 1/2 taunt for 2. Little weak on the stats, but he does have essentially 3 effects: mech for the synergy, and then taunt and divine shield. If we've seen anything from divine shields before, it's that they are rather obnoxious, and then he has taunt, so he's forced to trade, and obnoxious is the word. Annoyatron.
Yep. It's definitely annoying.
Him having 1 power though means that you are probably going to need the synergy on him in order to do anything. All the other 2-drops that we've seen are 2 3s and 3 2s, which means that they're just kind of going to crush this guy. So we definitely need to see buffs on him in order to make him actually worth his card slot, I think.
Yeah, and if you could fit like abusive or something into a deck, he definitely becomes a little better. Yeah, he's definitely annoying. I would have to test him to see if he's good.
Yeah.
But being a mech definitely helps, because we do need more mechs.
I just don't know if his stats carry enough weight, but
Yeah.
we'll see. He does
He might
have
just be one of those need to include him because he's a cheap mech.
yeah, he does have potential. We haven't again seen all the synergy. There may be just a card that's ridiculous with him that we haven't seen yet. Explosive Sheep, 1/1/4/2, death rattles, and it deals 2 to all minions, as well as being a mech himself.
So good.
Herself.
It's so good.
Yeah, this card is definitely something I'm stoked to see. It's neat to note that there's a lot of other synergies with Explosive Sheep, such as with the Paladin card that we went over earlier that does damage to all your death rattles. You can play Explosive Sheep, and they're probably going to ignore him because they don't want to blow up their board and they just want to hit you in the face if they're aggro. And then you can play the Purification dude, blow up all the death rattles, and then do an AoE of 2. The AoE of 2 doesn't kill the Purifier, so you do still have a 4/1 on the board. So you can kill anything that has more than or up to 4 HP, and then you can also kill both halves of the Spider Bros. So it's tricky, as well as just being a good removal spell by himself, even without any kind of synergy like that. Dealing 2 is a very, very nice number to be able to hit, and it's neutral, so it gives that option to everybody.
Yeah, Whirlwind, Deathbite, mages could even just ping it.
Yep.
Seems like it's going to see it play if there's aggro decks.
Yep. And then up next, and it's a mech, so you could buff it or whatever with it. I don't know what you would really want to use with it, but maybe they don't attack it and you buff it for +2/+2, and then it goes swinging at something and kills something for 5. Micro Machine, a 1/2 mech for 2. At the start of each turn, this is very key, gain 1 attack. So this isn't at the start of your turn, it is each turn. So when you pass to your opponent, it will be a 2/2 for 2, which is okay, but per all the new cards that we've seen, I don't know if that's good enough. Because all the other 2-cost mechs that we've seen so far either have really, really strong effects, or they're 2 3s or 3 2s. That being said, if your opponent does manage to pass it back to you, it will be a 3/2 for 2. Again, Freshka kind of touched on this earlier. You may just need to include it as a cheap mech just for the synergy if you do have the mech archetype going or theme in your deck. But I don't think that this guy will see play over like the class specific ones or anything.
Agreed.
Neck Warper. This is the card that I've been talking about the whole time. I should have put it at the beginning. I apologize. Bad planning on my part, but this is a card that I think is probably one of the bigger cards to acknowledge that's coming out of this set. Yeah, he's the card that makes all the other decks tick. Coining this guy or just playing this guy, it's pretty insane. He's a 2/3, which is very important to acknowledge. The 3 toughness is very, very key to him potentially surviving a turn and making use of his effect. He is a mech himself, so he does gain that inherent value from being a mech. And if you can keep him on your board through all of the 2/2 continuous buffs that you can get from various classes on this guy, the longer he stays on the board, the more value you get off him, as well as yeah, if you immediately buff him and then swing for the following turn for 4 on turn 3 or something, that's pretty ridiculous. This guy's really strong.
Yeah, and it makes your 1 cast mechs free.
Yup.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah, some cards will say like, but they can't exceed 1 or something, or they'll always cost 1. This card doesn't, so that is important to note that you can be reduced to less 1, and it is an additive effect. If you do have 2 of these on the board, you will get 2 less.
You can just dump your whole hand.
Yup.
Like
it's
if you
like
if you play this on turn 1 with coin, play another one, turn 2 you can dump your hand.
It's Affinity all over again.
It's so good.
Yeah, this card's insane. Yeah, everything that you do, and when you build your deck, you need to be able to make sure that you can kill this card. Because if you can't, you're probably going to lose a lot of games. Spider Tank. I want to hear your in-depth analysis on this card.
It's a smaller Yeti.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean, at 3/4, it's a mech, and it fits that like really weird in between turn that we didn't really see that many strong 3 mechs. So it seems pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it's okay.
It's kind of boring.
Passes the vanilla test. It is a vanilla minion. It does have mech. Again, it's key. It may just be the vanilla arena card that you may never actually play in constructed, but it's also a card that you may have to play in your deck just because you have to run quote-unquote mediocre cards or
just like
bland cards. Just for the synergy.
Play. It was a 2/3 beast, so I could see play because it's a 3/4 mech.
Alright, Tinkertown Technician. Battlecry, if you control a mech, so here's our 3-drop mech synergy. Gain a +1/+1, so it's a 4/4 if you have the mech, which assumingly you should have a couple 1-drops and 2-drops. And you get a spare part. So he's a 4/4 for 3, and he draws half a card essentially. I think that this guy is pretty ridiculous, honestly, as far as mana cost and efficiency goes. I just don't know how well a 4/4 stacks up per se to, because he doesn't carry the mech archetype himself.
Right.
The synergy stops there, which is actually a drawback to him, and rightfully so. If he was a mech and he was a 4/4 for 3 and gave you half a card, and then continued to ride that train of synergy and being cheaper to play and stuff like that, it would definitely be overpowered. But he's good. He may see play, he may see experimentation, who knows, but he's definitely up there in contention of potentially viable cards.
Yeah, it's possible. I'm not sure. I'm not really too excited about him because most of the time I think they're going to kill your teased, and then he might just be a generic 3/3. But if you do get the upside, he's definitely worth it.
Burly Rockjaw Trog. Alright, I'll talk about a few things that people may not understand about this card or whatever. Actually, just one. This card is able to be... Oh, I'm drawing a blank. 4 mana, steal your opponent's minion for 3 or less for half a turn.
Shadow Mana?
Yep, Shadow Madness. He can be Shadow Madness, and when he is taken, he does swing back for 5 damage. So it is important to note that this guy, if you're playing against a priest, he can swing back and crush your board, more so than most Shadow Madnesses prior. There was another really interesting situation that got 100% clarified, but I can't recall it right now. But you can find it on Binbread's Twitter.
Shadow Word Pain.
Yes, he is Shadow Word Paintable.
Yeah.
He's already been targeted, so he's already deaded.
He's also just able to be deathed easily too. Like they can cast any spell then death him.
Yep.
So.
But that being said, whenever your opponent casts a spell, gain +2 attack. Essentially, he's most likely going to be a 5/5 for 4. But it does require the proper meta for him to see play. It's definitely a card to consider when you're building decks, but day one I would not be throwing this in your decks. But if for some reason there was an insane all-spell deck or something, maybe you want to run this guy. Like
good against spare parts.
Like the Shaman deck or spare parts or something like the Zeus Shaman deck that may come about. You may want to force them to use a removal spell on this because, well, they can't just sit there and bolt your face over and over because this guy's going to get excessively out of control. And they'll have to be required to use a removal spell on him. He's good. He won't see play initially, or he shouldn't see play initially, but yeah, just keep him in mind because he does hold a lot of potential value if the meta's right for him.
Yep.
Antique Healbot. We have a 3/3 mech for 5. Restore 8 health to your hero. Thoughts?
I think it costs too much to be playable, but 8 health is a lot. I think most of the mech cards that we saw are more aggressive, so I don't know if it actually fits, and by being a mech, I'm not sure if the benefit's worth it.
What else healed for anywhere close to 8? Lay on Hands, Guardian of Kings, Healing Touch.
Yeah.
Alright, so
it's like a 3/3 for 2 with a Healing Touch?
Untargetable Healing Touch.
Right, yeah, it's only your hero. You can't just play it on 5 unless they already were hitting you, or you don't get full effect from it anyway. If it was targetable, he'd be insane. But since it's only to you, I'm not sure how good it's going to actually be.
Yeah, I kind of wish he had more toughness, like maybe be a 2/4.
Yeah.
So that, because you'd want him against aggro, because that's when you would play the Healing Touch.
Agreed.
So I kind of wish he was a 2/4. And then,
if he had more toughness, you could give him Taunt.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that for mana, he is good. Because if you look at him in terms of having an attached Healing Touch, kinda. You're basically paying 2 for 3/3 with the mech attribute, which is a lot of value. But there's a lot of basically ifs, ands attached to him. And then as far as the board state, he's probably not going to do much to fix the board state. Because he is just a 3/3.
It's definitely not like Shield Maiden.
No.
Shield Maiden's a lot better because you can cast it when you're at full health.
Yeah,
and
it's
it works
armor.
with other
Armor's
cards.
better, and it's got a much more relevant body. This guy is not even close to passing the vanilla test, where Shield Maiden's pretty close to passing the vanilla test, but it's big enough that it trades with 90% of the minions. So
yeah. It also would have to take like Lothub, Sludge Belcher, or something else's spot, which is...
That being said, 8 health is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah.
So it may see fringe play if aggro is big enough or something, but...
Or Freeze Mage or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Developing the board while healing for 8 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Gnomish Experimenter. So this guy. 3/2 for 3. So a little underwhelming in terms of stats. Not the worst, but it's definitely not like... Yeah, it's nothing insane. It's on par with like Loot Hoarder or whatever. It's draw a card. If it's a minion, transform it into a chicken. So the chicken, I believe, has been... The chicken has been confirmed not to be angry, and it is I think it's a 1/1 for 1. And so it does cost mana. It's important to note. And yeah, trying to think of interesting things to say about this guy, but there's not. If you could play him in like a all spell deck, like Freeze Mage or something, and you'd be pretty okay with that. The only issue is if you brick and you hit like your Antonitis or your Alex or something, that's pretty catastrophic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know
Not
if there's
too
much
excited.
redeeming. I don't know if this guy redeems himself in any way. Yeah, he just doesn't do enough. I don't want no chickens. I'm sorry.
Hey man, it gives Druid another beast for that 7/7.
That's 7/7 synergy. Turn 3 Gnomish Experimenter. Hope you hit a minion, and then hope it's not your Druid or your Druid of the Fang. Turn 4, cast a 1/1. Pray it doesn't die to every hero power in the game, and then play your 7/7 and hope that doesn't get BGH'd.
Fucking worth.
So much value, it's unreal.
I agree.
Next card. Goblin Sapper.
The best card in the game.
Has
Hands down, not
plus
close.
4 attack while your opponent has 6 or more cards in hand. For most of us, we're going to initially think like, I wish we had sideboards. Sideboard this in against handlock. This guy's insane. He'd be 6/4 for 3. But we got Fresh Gut here.
The best card in the game. Not close.
And for anybody that's seen Milrogue, this is the man that brought it back from the dead and tweaked it to the deck that everybody knows and loves today, that a lot of the streamers, Tides, and everybody have played, and Freshka, of course. Yeah, so this is all you.
Light Oracle. Shadow Step. Light Oracle. Take 12. It actually makes it so you can tempo them out. It's pretty good.
The other redeeming quality of this is it doesn't have the worst stats either. If you don't get the effect, it is not the worst thing I've ever seen. You're obviously playing it for the effect, but if you had to run around with a 2/4, or if you were playing against aggro and you just slam this down just to kind of combat early minions, not that bad. Again, not where you want to be, but not that bad. So it does have, it's not like a 0/4 that gets +6. It does have a decent of body with a lot of toughness, so it is good as a, well, not good. It's acceptable as a vanilla minion.
And it trades for all the 3/2s and stuff that are running around, so that's good.
Alright, next up we have Little Exorcist. So she's got quite a few keywords. She's a 2/3 for 3. She does have Taunt, which is pretty valuable if you're playing this card because of a Death Rattle meta. That's the only time you would obviously play this card. You're not going to play a 2/3 for 3 if nobody's running Death Rattles. But if Death Rattles are pretty popular, she does gain +1/+1 for each. It's pretty important to note that it is each enemy, so it is only your opponents. You can't synergize with your own minions, unfortunately, to make sure that you can get value out of her. Then again, I don't know if I'd want my Death Rattle opponent playing this. So actually scratch that. Thankfully this doesn't do that.
If you're able to play this card in Hunter or Zoo even.
Turn 1 Undertaker, turn 2 Web Spinner Leper Gnome, turn 3 Little Exorcist.
So
well,
good.
Rip.
Oh, it'd be great.
But yeah, she's okay. I don't know if she's gonna do enough to combat aggro, but it's nice that we have the option if people are playing an excessive amount of Death Rattles. But if they're only playing like 1 or 2 that are gonna be on the board, I don't know if she's quite good enough to have.
I mean, if they have two, she's a 3-cost engine.
Sure, but you
bad.
also have to queue into that opponent.
Right, yeah. I don't think it's like the best thing in the world, but I think if the meta's correct, then I think she has a spot.
Fair.
Senjin might just be better because it's consistent.
Yeah, but yeah, it's good that they're putting cards like this in that are reactive. I do like having specific reactive cards to things like weapons or Death Rattles. Yeah, it just makes the game a little bit more interesting than just have vanilla answers to everything, like kill cards or whatever, or silence, like owls in every single deck. So it's cool that they're getting a little bit more specific with potentially higher upsided cards.
Yeah.
And yeah, somebody pointed out it's not Ascension because it does have one more power.
It's a little better.
But yeah. Alright, so Illuminator. This card is pretty unique that we haven't seen something like this. She's a 2/4 for 3, so she's okay in terms of stats. If you control a secret at the end of your turn, so you do get the immediate effect, restore 4 health to your hero. So the thing that I initially think of is Farseer. Farseer is a 3/3 for 3. So 6 total stats versus 3 mana. This one's reliant on you having a secret, and it goes to only you. You don't have the flexibility of healing your minions, but it is 1 more heal, and it's a continuous effect. So it is interesting in that regard. It will probably spawn a different kind of deck that we haven't seen yet.
I don't know if it's a deck we haven't seen. I play Farseer and Control Hunter, and I think this card is strictly better than Farseer and Control Hunter.
Yeah.
And there already are cards that we've seen that might make Control Hunter better. So yeah. I'm pretty excited about it. Definitely gonna test it.
Yeah.
And Strife Crow made a fatigue draw. Like, it doesn't make you draw cards, but it's a mage deck where his whole plan is to just remove all your threats. And
are we talking about the DreamHack deck?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody missed DreamHack,
like that,
Strife Crow played a deck that was based on, basically what Freshka said, literally fatiguing your opponent. He beat quite a few people by simply answering every card that they played and waiting for them to die by decking themselves. So this card definitely fits in that. In the Freeze Mage deck, you have cards like Ice Block. He didn't run Ice Block, but you can, and that's a secret that stays on the board forever. Well, until the end of the game, obviously. But yeah, basically until the end. So you can get quite a few effects off this. It will force them to answer her, because they can't just hit you for 4 and then let you gain 4, then hit her for 4, or then hit you for 4. They do have to answer her. And if you can protect her with either taunts or... she does have a decent amount of toughness to boot at the start, so she gets the first effect guaranteed, and then she'll probably get a second one, or they'll have to expend quite a few resources into killing her. And then even if she doesn't kill that minion, as mage, you have that very convenient hero power to likely finish off any early minions that you're dealing with. What else? My only qualm with this card, and like an idea like that, is Blizzard did announce that they were releasing a answer to secrets for everybody. Yeah. So that's probably maybe like a vanilla minion, a vanilla legendary, something that is flare or whatever for everybody. My bet's on a minion, but we'll see.
Yeah, it'll probably be a minion.
And that kind of puts a little quirk in that, but again, you've guaranteed gotten at least one use off of her, so I think she's strong enough, and yeah, definitely look forward to seeing a different kind of deck that most people aren't used to seeing, in terms of fatiguing or just resident sleeping your opponent to death. Yeah,
I'm excited. I enjoy Paladin, so anything that kind of playstyle is my cup of tea. And Fatigue Rogue, obviously.
Alright, Jeeves. This card is,
Super Troll?
No. Shakadin's Dream.
Yeah, kind of.
So he's a 1/4 mech. He does not pass the vanilla test, not even close. He has a mech, though, so he does have synergy with that. But yeah, the issue with like really aggressive decks that are reliant on a lot of 1-drops, and I'm going to use Shakadin here, as that's probably a deck most people are familiar with, and it's the deck that I feel like most people are initially going to run and try to do with this card, where you just run all the secrets, your Argent Squires, your Leper Gnomes, basically every 1 mana, 2 mana minion that you can put in there, and then you just play Jeeves. You literally just dump your entire hand on turn 1 through 3, and then you slam this card on 4, hit your opponent with everything you got. You probably got maybe a secret on the board to help protect him, and then you end your turn. It's important to note that this seems like an equal effect, but it's not. You're the aggro deck, so you're always the one with initiative. And if you're not, well, you're probably going to lose. So you should be the one with initiative the whole time. And then if your opponent wants to take advantage of this effect, not only do they have to have no cards in hand, or under 3 cards in hand, they also have to leave him on the board, which means you'll get another use out of it from your turn, because you're obviously not going to kill him. You're going to use him to dumb your opponent for 1, and then continue to refill the board and then attack, and then pass the turn priority back to your opponent. He's an interesting card. He essentially has taunt. He's got thankfully he's not like a 4/1 or something. He's got a decent amount of health, so not only do they have your board to deal with, they have him to deal with, and you got a guaranteed use out of him before he dies. I personally do not look forward to seeing or playing against such decks where they literally just push out as many cards as they can and then drop Gs and then force you to kill him without you actually taking advantage of him. I think he's insane, personally, but
yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, at the same time, if you're playing Paladin and you're slamming him on 4, that means you're not true silvering. And he also can be really tricky with cards like Equality, True Silver, like stuff like that, like your situational cards, which aren't necessarily as many in aggro Paladin.
I got Coghammer,
but
I don't need no True Silver. Just kidding. That's a fair argument though, because Divine Favor is the one card, like, you still ran True Silver with Divine Favor, and like, obviously, yeah, so I mean, it's the same kind of thing. Like, you can play him on 5, I guess, if you really wanted to, like, if you really needed that True Silver, because you're essentially Divine Favoring on 5. He costs 1 more than Divine Favor, but he does put a body on the board. He may not be as good as Divine Favor, but he also may not be as bad as Divine Favor sometimes is. If your opponent's smart and they're playing against Shakadin, a lot of people, I know I'll personally, like, randomly cast preps and stuff just to dump my hand because I'm fearful of the Divine Favor, and this guy is kind of anti that. Yeah. So.
And it usually makes it. You could even just like dump your hand, Divine Favor, dump your hand, and then you get refilled again.
What if they made him a 1/8? What?
The fuck?
What?
Then I would replay Inner Fire Priest.
Next card. Bomb Lobber. We got a 3/3 for 5. Does not pass the vanilla test. Not even close. Battle Cry. Deal 4 damage to a random enemy minion. Thoughts, questions, concerns?
Really cool effect. I like the card a lot, but again, it's really hard to compete with the 5 and 6 drops that we currently have.
Yeah, and I feel like he just misses the boat in terms of competing, A, with cards that we already have, and then with the power creep of the set, I don't think he's going to at all keep up.
He also doesn't kill Yeti.
The Yeti test failed.
Yeah, if he was a 5-drop that killed Yeti, that'd be a huge tempo swing. But there's a lot of cards he just doesn't kill on 5. When you play him on 5, he doesn't kill everything, so it's like really hit or miss.
Yeah. Being able to hit an Auctioneer is sweet. That's what he's got going for him. Other than that, yeah, I don't see him seeing a lot of play personally. But he could be obnoxious. He may, I don't know.
Really good in Arena, but
yeah, never mind. I take that back. He's not going to be obnoxious. He's not going to see play. And if he does, it's going to be very, very fringe play. I don't see this being a staple in like any kind of mid-range deck or anything. He just doesn't have the body after the effect.
Yep.
Matter Bomber, everybody's new favorite card. Cannot wait for the YouTube highlights.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the YouTube highlight of it, like killing somebody when they're at 6.
The standard crit play Matter Bomber when their opponent's at 1 and he misses all 6 shots.
Yeah, or like you're at 6, they're at 4, and you play Matter Bomber and you die.
Rip. Yeah, definitely an arena card. Probably won't see play in Constructed. If you want to fight aggro, which is what a card like this wants to do, like if there's a lot of Hunter or something, you just play Mad Bomber. You don't play Matter Bomber.
Yeah. Matter Bomber's too much mana.
He's too crazy.
Yeah.
He's too crazy. But, yeah.
Could be cool in, like, I don't even know. Actually, I don't even know what he could be cool in. Like, Yeah, Whirling Blade now too, so you can't even argue putting him in like a warrior deck.
Yep.
Um,
Rip. Arena highlights. Let's go. All right. This is probably my favorite card of the set. I am super stoked to see this. He's a 3/2 for 2, so he does pass the vanilla test. Maybe not the new vanilla test because he's not a mech, being a 3/2 for 2. Rip. But yeah, he's insanely interesting. I've looked forward to experimenting with this card. He gives a lot of neat tricks and plays that you can do with utilizing battle cry minions to take full effect of the battle cry. So you give up stats for certain battle cries like Kodo or something, and then you can use that Kodo to trade with a minion, and then transform the Kodo into a new 5-drop, which is pretty exciting because it acts as a heal and it uses up the battle cries mana that you invested into it. That being said, he's not exactly the best thing to top deck or anything like that, but he's a 2-cost minion, so if you're running that, you're competing with cards like Sun Fury and stuff in your decks, I would imagine. So it's a spot that you're acknowledging that you're giving up for your 2-drop slot. You're not running him in place of like your 4-drops or your 5-drops or something. You're running him in like Druid, I would say, or something like that. Yeah. Anything that you can think of that seems insane?
Seems really cool. Definitely could backfire.
No way. It doesn't have random in the name. There's no way that this card backfires.
Yeah. So I definitely see a lot of cool things could happen with it, and it is really cool that like, say somebody humiliates or peacekeepers your minion, and you can recombobulate them. That'd be pretty cool. Or you could use them after you equality too. You could like equality and then play this guy.
Yeah, that's true. So then you'd be competing with like
an owl slot maybe.
Owl or not pyromancer. Yeah, just owl. You'd cut like a 1/1 owl, one of your 2 owls or something.
Yeah.
And then yeah, he's got a decent body, like I said. So
it even kind of turns on Ancient Watcher, like if like your only 2 cards in your hand are like this and Ancient Watcher.
So no activator, you just use him as a really bad activator.
Well, it's just like you play a random 2-drop in this because it's the same mana.
Yeah.
It's not really a bad activator. It just depends what you get.
We'll go a suboptimal activator.
Yeah. It's not the ideal one, but
there's a few pretty crazy things that I've seen people suggest. What is it? Which one costs 12 by default? Is it Mountain Giant?
Yeah.
Mountain Giant into Recombobulator gets you a Deathwing.
Or you can play Novice. This might make Novice Inventor good again.
Or Clockwork.
Or whatever it is. The 1/1 draw a card. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Maybe. But yeah, I definitely see a lot of potential. He's one of the first cards I want to experiment with. And I feel like he'll do some pretty funny things as well. And then
does it shoot a knife?
What?
Does it shoot a knife? Like you transform a minion? Can you get 3 knives out of 2 cards?
I'm so lost right here.
Okay, you have a knife juggler.
Yeah.
You play a minion.
Yeah.
You play this minion on that minion. Do you get 3 knives?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. No.
Not as exciting.
Rip. The dream.
The dream is dead.
The dream. Card sucks. On to the next one.
Yep, it doesn't work in my Moggle and knife juggler decks. I'm out.
Alright. A Hanso Mechano. 3/2 for 4. He's a mech. He does not pass the vanilla test, but he is a mech, so that's good. This is a card that I'm pretty interested in seeing what he does. His stats are a little weak for him, which is the big drawback, and you don't get to pick what you're giving. That being said, all 3 of those effects are pretty strong. It definitely goes in potentially a mid-range deck, like Paladin or something. You don't want to win for your totems, but if you get like Taunt or Divine Shield across a couple of minions, or you win Fury up your 3/3s or something, that could be pretty fun.
You just win for your totems into Bloodlust. Turn 9 win. Easy.
Oh, I was talking about Paladin.
Yeah.
Because there's not better ways to win on turn 9.
Yeah. There's no ways to win on turn 9 other than win Fury into Bloodlust.
But yeah, Shaman too. Shaman always has quite a few minions on the board, and just giving even AoE taunt. It's pretty annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. In Paladin, it seems questionable.
I was thinking like mid-range Paladin with like the Watchers and stuff, but yeah, definitely
maybe,
fits Shaman.
But
I don't know, just like a 1-of bullet that could do AoE effects, just with its
Yeah.
scoring. Again, all of these things are hindered on the power creep of the rest of the set, if you have time to do such things. Yeah, Shaman's
plus,
definitely.
it falls into the category as they're more mechs.
Yep. Yeah, Shaman's definitely the deck that initially you could just throw this in and it would be. I think it's worth its slot. And Shaman traditionally has had rather lackluster 4-drops.
Yeah, people were playing like just the cantrip.
Gnomish Inventors, or Gnomish. It's not Inventor.
One of them, the 2 4-drop card. Same thing.
Yeah, so it's a decent 4-drop for Shaman. It's okay.
Or Argus.
I think it'll see play. You're definitely not cutting Argus for this, but
depends on the deck.
Oh, this is all you.
Prep Vanish Double Giant. Oh yeah. The dream. Yeah, I actually think Mill Rogue's gonna be competitive when the new cards come out.
The dream, end quote.
Yeah, the dream.
That's all. Next card.
That's all it is, dude. You got the dream, dude.
Yeah, so Milrug's already shown that it's potentially viable. It's really hard to deal with aggro, but if you drop 2 8/8s against aggro, you probably win.
Yep.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Put Vanish Double Giant into Alex their face. Here we go.
Every game.
Every game. It's turn 9 kill every game.
Without fail.
Without fail.
Yeah, definitely exciting to see them support Mill. We've already seen another card that supported Mill, and that's just half the cards. It's possible that we'll see another 1 or 2 cards that continue to support the Mill archetype, which is exciting to see, just Blizzard pushing other win cons in the game. Blingatron 3000. 3/4 for 5. Again, does not pass the vanilla test. It is a mech though. Equip a random weapon for each player.
It's like ETC with a worse body. That's how I look at this card. Because you both get a random bonus, but there's definitely ones that are a lot better than others. And if you get the short end of the stick, you probably lose that game.
Yeah, I keep referencing vanilla test, and people have asked about it in chat. If I ever say vanilla test, it just means the base stats on the card, ignoring the effect, seeing if it's worth it, like a 5/5 for 5, or 2 3s for 2 or something. Those pass the vanilla test. If you get a 1/2 for 2, that's not passing the vanilla test. It's basically the idea, is as a vanilla minion with no effect, is it worth, does the stats it have validate the cost? If not, then it has to have a better effect. So yeah, the common pairing is Blingatron plus Ooze. So you play Blingatron by yourself, or by itself, you have a really weak minion, and you 50-50 the game, basically. If you get a 1/4 weapon and you hand your opponent a Gorehowl, you may want to concede the game. If you have Blingatron plus Ooze, that's a 2-card combo. I can think of a lot of other 2 cards that I'd rather pair.
Harrison.
You have to have them together, and it's turn 7. There's a lot of other cards I'd rather play on 7 than Blingatron plus Ooze.
Yeah, I agree.
That's just
Plus,
me.
you might just get like Lace Justice.
That card's insane.
Yeah, I mean it kills 4 minions.
Yeah, every single time. Value. So yeah, a little hesitant. it could see play, but yeah, if you Blingatron and Ooze, you opted around that combo, you got it, and then you have to rely on yourself getting a decent weapon, because the bodies you put on the board are not worth it. So, yeah.
Chad brings up a good point. The weapons are gold. Worth.
Wait, does it give you golden
They're
weapons?
golden weapons.
Even if the Blingatron's not gold?
Yeah. That's what
Swag.
they're saying, at least. So, worth.
Yeah, dude. If you get golden cards, it's automatically worth. Alright. These two cards are paired together. One is a token, because you can't actually just cast Voltron, unfortunately.
Why not, though?
Well.
It's balanced.
Alright. So you do have Morian's Head. So this is a hard card to judge fairly without seeing the other 40 cards, but I feel like we can make a fair assessment with this card because this is not the first time in any TCG that people haven't put cards like this in. It's thematically really fun. There are going to be plenty of people who are going to try to do it. There are going to be plenty of highlights of people dying to Voltron and Rockbiter and stuff. It will probably happen to everybody at least once. But the good thing is it'll probably only happen to you once. Yeah.
Unless they play Conceal.
And then you're dead every time.
You play this, load that prep Conceal. Here we go. Even though you're probably just dead to a Yeti, load that prep Conceal.
The good thing to note is that you can do a pretty ridiculous curve of like coin out the dude that the 2/3 that makes your mechs cheaper, and then play one of the vanilla 2/3s or the mech 2/3s that are class specific, and then play one of the 3-drops that buffs them, and then turn 4 play this dude, live the dream, and prep Conceal obviously, without fail. Something like that. There are sequences of play that are very absurd. People are going to try. People are going to succeed. But the amount of times that I think that we're going to see that happen are very few and far in between. It is a legendary as well. So it means that you can't run 2 of them to get that combo early. If you run a deck that's based around doing this, and this card is in the bottom half of your deck, you probably lost the game.
All I'm saying is, I'll put everybody's mind at ease right now. Even if they conceal it, you could still play Vanish. Alright? So
the Milrogue still beats Voltron.
Milrogue beats Exodia. Let's be real.
Finding Nemo, please. But yeah. It's neat. People are gonna try it. It's gonna be fun. But ultimately, I don't think it's gonna pan out. Next card, Toshli. This is a card that I actually differ with, I feel like, with some people. I've seen very little support for this card, and I actually think that he's better than people give him credit for.
I'm really happy it's a 5/7.
He's a 5/7 for 6, so he's got a really, really big amount of toughness, which is important. And if you follow the logic of counting each spare part as half a card, he does minimum draw you half a card, and most likely, I don't think somebody's going to silence a spare part draw. If they do, God bless. So he probably drew 2 spare parts, making essentially half a card or 1 full card. That obviously has synergies, like we talked about earlier, for just simply casting spells and cheap spells. And then obviously the use of the effects. I'm a big fan of him. I don't know if he has enough value to compete with other 6-drops, because the 6-drop slot is stacked with Sylvanas and Karin, and then your class-specific ones, and then any other cards that we haven't seen spoiled yet. But I do think that he could see fringe play, and I do think that he could be quite fun to play with.
I agree. I think it has its. I think it has upside, but yeah, it's really hard to take a 6 or a 5 slot.
Yep. It's where the fringe play comes in. But yeah, I don't think he's as worthless as everybody else does, personally.
Yep.
He's the kind of card that I feel like if the first set of Hearthstone taught me anything, and if there's anything that I can get anybody to take away from any of this, whether you agree on anything, disagree, whatever it might be, the thing that you should take away from this and all of our experience with the first set of Hearthstone is do not completely write off a card. Tankmaster, when it was originally made, was written off as bad for quite a while. Then it became OP. Harrison, and then errata, or changed. Harrison was unplayable. Then it became very good. Black Knight was never played for quite a while, and now it's fairly standard.
Big Game Hunter, yeah.
There's a lot of
just
cards.
Depends on metas.
Yeah, there's a lot of cards. You basically just keep an open mind to cards. At the end of the day, not saying day one he'll be OP, but maybe 2 months down the line, everybody will be playing Toshly or something.
Maybe we'll be playing Questing Adventure Spare Parts.
Yep. So just keep an open mind. It's the only way that you're actually going to be able to like push the meta or change like metas is by keeping an open mind and being willing to experiment with cards that are deemed lackluster. Hogger recently. Hogger was unplayed for quite a while, and yeah, it saw brief sprints of play. So yeah, just keep an open mind. Dr. Boom. 7/7 for 7. So he's essentially a war golem with an effect. It is a battle cry, so you do get it on cast. It's not like it's going to get silenced or anything. Summon 2 1/1 boom bots. So the boom bot's on the right. It is your token. I don't believe that you can actually get this card. I'm 99% sure you can't actually just run 2 of these in your deck. So 1/1 for 1. It does have a death rattle, so it does pair with everybody's favorite card, Undertaker. Granted, if you're not dead by turn 7 against an Undertaker, you probably already won.
Undertaker Priest, man.
Dang. Yeah, deal 1/4 damage to a random enemy. It's okay. I don't really know what to say about this card. Gets BTH. The Boombot doesn't probably do enough. I don't see it seeing very much play at all.
Could be good if there's like Lord effect buffs for mechs. Like if like kind of like Murloc War Leader or something.
Yeah.
But for mechs, could be alright. But yeah, I don't see it being that good.
It just costs a lot. The good thing is you do get a guaranteed effect off of it, so it's not like it just dies and does nothing. So it does have that going for it, but ultimately it's a little lackluster.
And it can't backfire by hitting your stuff either, which is good.
Yeah. And they're all mechs. Alright, so I put all these 3. We skipped over the common, the unique, or the epic, and the now we're getting to the legendary. I put these all together because they're all essentially the same thematically. These are the pilots. They are, on average, not passing the vanilla test. They are weaker for their cost. They're not like a 4/5 for 4, because you do get a second effect. It is a death rattle, so it does have the death rattle synergy, or anti-synergy if your opponent's playing anti-cards. And then they're all mechs, so that's obviously they're all mechs. But it's again good to acknowledge just because of the synergies that GVG brings with it. I don't know how I feel about these, honestly. Pilot Sky Golem, I think the direct comparison is Karin, and I think I'd rather run Karin. Even with the mech synergy taken into account, I'd rather get a second guaranteed 4/5, because it's a little bit better having the extra toughness, and the random 4-cost minion isn't something that's like a 2/4 or I don't know.
Plus it survives after the AoE rather than just you playing this and getting AoE'd.
Yeah, and you know what you're getting. Like,
yeah.
Sneed's Treader. I think it's okay. It does have a lot of toughness. The higher end, it's not an excessive amount of toughness for costing 8. It's not like it's a 5/10 or something. But again, you're getting a second card out of it, so you can't expect that. So I could see Shredder potentially seeing play, but you would need a couple cards that are earlier in your curve to draw out silence. You couldn't build a deck based around essentially this is like your top end or something. You would need a couple, so maybe like in Control Warrior or something, where they're likely to silence your Sylvanas and then maybe something else, your Karen or something. You could potentially see it there. But yeah, I feel like you have to have a couple silence targets to validate or to justify running him.
Out of the three of them, which one's your favorite?
I think the only one I would even try to play is Sneasel Shredder. I don't think I would try to play the other two.
Really? I think I would play Pilot Shredder before any of the other two.
Dang. So we're completely on different sides of the fence on the casting cost versus the effect.
Well, the only reason I would play the Shredder is because it would give you a 4-drop mech with possible really good upside. And a 4/3 for 4, if the mech bonus is worth it, might be okay.
That's fair. That's a 4-cost kind of Harvest Golem, kind of not.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's really close. And it's really hard to value because we're not sure how good the mechs are going to be yet. But I definitely.
Well, I feel like there's also
writing that card off.
I feel like that's two different decks altogether too. I don't like if I played Snoot Shredder, I don't think I'm playing it because it's a mech.
Right. Yeah.
I'm playing
I
it just because it's I think it's just a big enough body that it applies pressure to your opponent, and then it dies, and then it just gets you another minion. I don't even care that it's like a legendary minion. It's just another body after the fact.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So just two different archetypes, but yeah, I guess that's true. It's not the worst in terms of casting costs. I guess after seeing all the cards, I'm so used to my mechs around that curve actually passing the vanilla test plus being a mech.
Right.
Alright. Foe Reaper 4000. This guy does not get BGH'd, which is very key. He does have a lot of toughness, and he is a mech. Thoughts?
I really like the effect, but
18 damage is pretty good.
I think it's too. I would have liked to see it on a smaller body and cost less. Because I think the ability would be really good at combating aggro and like mid-range fights. It'd be really cool, but at this high of an end, I don't think it's worth it. But it does kill stealth, which is cool. Yeah.
Kills stealth and kills protected minions by taunt. The big issue with it, and I feel like a lot of legendaries suffer from this, and it's the same thing time and time again, is you're paying 8 mana and you don't actually know what you're going to get from it. If your opponent just kills it on the spot or bounces it, everybody loves getting their 8 mana cost stuff sapped and whatnot and vanished. You're just paying a lot of mana for not a guaranteed effect. I'd rather play 8 mana and rag. I think that I saw, who was it? Somebody brought up doing, like, that this could be a viable, the Shaman card that we went over at the very start, that drops minions into play.
Oh, yeah.
That this would be one of the...
Ancestral Call or whatever.
Yeah, Ancestral Call. Show and Tell. This is one of the scary minions to show and tell into play. It's really hard to deal with that early in the game. And then it forever kills every minion they ever drop. They just get flame striked over and over and over.
Yeah.
So I could see it in that. I wish I.
And with Healing Totem.
All right. You need to calm down. Show and Tell is a magic card. I'll show the Shaman card. We're almost done here. I think we're on the last card or two? No, last card. So this one is... I'm pretty sure Blizzard just secretly loves Gnimsh and just put this card in the game for him. Because I don't think anybody's going to play this card. Well, let's keep an open mind here. It is a 9/7, so it loves to get BGH. It does cost your entire turn, and it is not Alex Jawsing or Yasiring the board, or your opponent, or yourself. And it gives leper gnomes. 1-mana minions.
Yeah.
Hype?
You could play it with Whirlwind, maybe? Maybe? I don't know.
If you run whirlwind effects, don't you just kill them with like fire release and stuff?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I don't really see this card being played. But it's definitely a really interesting concept when things die to get a new creature.
To keep refilling, yeah, the perpetual army or whatever. Yeah. But
9 mana for a 9/7 that gets leper gnomes, like. Now, if it was like a 9/7 that gave me unstable ghouls, maybe.
And before the first week, this card's secret OP, and we're just like facepalming so hard.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen, but that would be awkward.
I mean, the cool thing is, it doesn't necessarily not do anything when you play it, because you could drop it and then trade minions.
Yeah, you have a board before,
Yeah,
so
but
I guess you guarantee get a couple leper gnomes.
But it's like the same thing as Kel'Thuzad, only I'd rather just get my shit back.
Yeah, I'd definitely rather get my minions back than leper gnomes.
Leper gnomes. Yeah, and Kel'Thuzad's not big game hunter killed.
And it costs 1 less.
Yeah.
Blizzard, please.
Thermoplug plus conceal. Here we go.
Dang. And then you have backstabs and SIs to get leper gnomes? Oh my god. The value.
So good.
Yeah. I don't know if we're about that life. Alright, let me see if I can jump back here. Where was the shaman card? No, we're going the wrong way. Show and tell. This is the card that we were talking about with Foe Reaper. For those of you guys who missed the very beginning, just drops the random legendaries into play. We were talking about shaman spawning a potential spell power Zeus deck where they just try to blow you up with Crackle, Lava Burst, and Bolts, and whatever other new spell shaman might get. And then you can use Ancestral's Call, because you play next to no minions, to drop into play like Ysera, Rag, Foe Reaper, because he is too big, not BGHable, and they have to immediately answer a 9 HP minion, or they forever lose their board. Seems pretty good. So there's that. But yeah, that is all the cards that we know so far. There was one semi-teased
yeah, we're not sure if it's coming out or not yet.
Druid card?
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that was fake. It's hard to tell for sure if it's actually fake, so I don't want to show it and kind of ruin what we've like shown as far as everything currently that's actually been shown. But I'll probably link it in chat for anybody who wants to see it. It's pretty sweet. I wish it was real, but I'm 90% sure it's fake.
If it was real, it's insane.
That's pretty creegasm. I don't think it's like broken insane, but I think it's.
But it's awesome.
It's definitely sweet, and I hope it's real.
I hope it's real too.
No, Neville's, don't Dream Crush.
Damn it, Neville's.
But yeah, I hope that gave some insight into our thought process on the cards. I'm gonna play some more ladder, so if you guys are just joined for the set review, I will be back to laddering. But yeah, that was Freshka. Again, if you guys don't know who he is, he's a 2-time BlizzCon qualified player, ridiculously knowledgeable, super nice. He streams on twitch.tv/Freshka. One of my mods can link it in chat. It's in the top left corner for the people that watch this on YouTube. Yeah, I hope that helps. Again, take everything that we said with a grain of salt. We tried to rush through this because there's 50 odd cards, and I think that... How long is this call?
Like 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. We spent 2.5 hours for what, in my opinion, quickly going over 50, 60 cards. So, yeah. Not everything was explained, not everything was expressed. But I hope it helps, and I hope that, that helps at day one. We'll do another review here in, I want to say it's like a week.
Yeah, probably.
If I had to give my opinion on when GVG is gonna get released, it's gonna be 2 weeks. Blizzard's just did the last vote card, and then in a like give or take 5 days or whatever, they're gonna do the full spoiler, and then give everybody a week to get super hype about the set and everything, and then they'll release GVG. So don't get too excited. Don't hold your breath. I would bet on 2 weeks. So we'll probably do another one once we get the full spoiler, and yeah, hopefully you guys tune in for that. Like I said, if you guys enjoyed it, definitely, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe there, and then if you're watching this on Twitch, feel free to leave a follow for me and Freshka. Please follow Freshka. He hung out here for 2.5 hours on my stream and was nice enough to chill. So yeah, he definitely deserves it. And yeah, I'm gonna get back to laddering.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep.